This is a past life reading, and I do the past life reading asking which past life has the most impact on our current life. So for this reading, I will be using 3 different decks. The first one is the Past Life Oracle card deck. We have the Soul's Journey Lesson card Oracle deck as well. And we have the Gilded Tarot Oracle deck. Now, this reading normally has 13 cards. In this case, we have 14 because we did have a jumper when it came to the life lesson cards. We have 3 past life that was pulled. I also pulled a life lesson to go along with each of those past life and 1 for the current life, and then plus the jumper in this case. And I also pulled 2 tarot cards to provide more insight in that particular life for each one of the past life as well. Now, before I get started with this reading, I would just like to say a quick prayer. I call upon my angels and my guides to please be in contact and communication with the querents, angels, and guides. May you provide a clear and accurate reading. I also call upon Archangel Michael to please protect this reading in white light so that only divine messages may come through. So let's have a look at the first past life. So for this one, we have monk or a nun. So you would have had a past life where you lived as a monk or as a nun. Now, as a result of that, you would have lived a life full of rules, isolations, and spiritual devotion. If you've taken vows during that particular lifetime, unless they've been severed, you may still be carrying this forward in this lifetime. Sometimes a nun, if she's taking a vow of poverty, will have a really hard time with the financial aspect in this current lifetime. Or if it's a monk who's kind of taking a vow of celibacy, then that makes it again very difficult in relationships in this lifetime. So it's really important that if there is any vows that had been taken in that past life, being that you're in a completely different situation in this life, that you take the time to sever those. So when you have a moment, I will ask that you call out to your spirits and your guides and that you say this: I hereby sever and release any vows that are self-destructive in all directions of time for everyone involved. Also, now the next card that we have is the life lesson card, and with this one we have relationship. This one kind of talks about I am attracted to those who serve my higher good. Now, when you live as a monk or as a nun and you take on those type of vows and you kind of devote yourself to that type of lifestyle, you would surround yourself, or any lost souls that you come across, it would have been like your responsibility to help those on. So you would have had sometimes a lot of dark people kind of surrounding you, people that just kind of feeding off of your energy, that you would feel compelled to help because that was your role that you played in that lifetime. Speaking of which, with that may be something that you would have tendencies of doing in this lifetime. As soon as you see a lost soul, feeling that it's up to you to fix or correct or support this person. Now, be very careful that you do not surround yourself with a bunch of people who just sucks the energy right out of you. You got to make sure that the people who are surrounding you provide you with the relationship that you need. Be very careful who you allow into your inner circle. Now, we will have a look here real quick at the 2 tarot cards and see what they have to say. The first one that we have is death. Now, don't be alarmed by this card. First thing, death almost never really kind of talk about a specific life death situation. It's most of the time it talks about change, major changes, the end of something, the beginning of something new. So it's not always talks about death. And because this is a past life reading, we already know that this past life you've already died. You're in this one now. So with this one here, it talks about, as I mentioned, transformation, changes, ending and beginning, the cycle of nature, end of life. The next one that we have here also is the Page of Wands in the reverse position. Now, Wands is about actions, events, kind of sequence of events. And the Page, being a royal, kind of talks about an individual. And it talks about somebody who's child or childlike or at the beginning stages of a situation. With the Page, it talks about workplace gossip, rumors and innuendos or bad news. So with this one here, while you were living as a monk or as a nun and being surrounded, because the relationship life lesson comes up, I think you ended up being surrounded by negativity with dark people that just didn't serve your purpose. But because of the role you were playing, you had tendency of keeping up with those relationships because you felt compelled to help these people try to fix their situation, fix their problems. Now, there has been issues that had happened during that time with gossip or innuendos or just bad news that kind of came across, and you were affected with that particular lifetime. It caused major changes, major transformation. And this can affect you in the current life, as I mentioned, as you may be feeling compelled to kind of help those that don't serve you. And you may be facing similar situations as well, right? You may be putting yourself in relationship or situation where it just doesn't suit you, it doesn't serve you, or that gossip gets spread around as well, or innuendos and that sort of stuff. So be very careful who you allow in your confidence, who you allow in your inner circle. Keep in mind, it is not up to you to fix the problem of everybody. Offer support, be compassionate, but be careful on who you allow into your inner circle. Sometimes we gotta cut cords. Now, let's have a look at the next life. So for the next life, we have Atlantis. So this one here kind of talks about you have soul memories of this idyllic civilization that offer very like every imaginable wonders. Atlantis was really an idyllic community, place to live. The technology that was available was just amazing. It was just a community that was really ahead of its time. Unfortunately, it succumbed to a really bad ending and a bad fate. So because of this, you may be longing for this utopia unconsciously, right? You may kind of be longing for that type of lifestyle that you had there. Or if your soul kind of recalls a tragic ending, you may have developed also phobia about the ocean as a result. You may love the ocean, you may love the sea, but you may not want to be anywhere near it. And that may be a reflection of that. But let's see what the life lesson you had during that time. And for this one, you had perseverance. So obviously you had things you were going on that you were working towards, and you had to kind of keep working at it, right? Now, you are the only one who knows the correct path to take. Your intuition, your connection with spirit is your compass. So you have the power to stay the course, and you are stronger and more determined than you might first think. So in order to experience many successes in life, you must mature and realize the strength within yourself and the quality of inner courage. Life doesn't just happen, you must make it happen. And that's where perseverance kind of steps in, right? You were probably not in just an easy situation where things just derolled, right? Like you had to physically make this life you wanted happen in this particular lifetime. This is coming up, so hopefully you have the same. Keep in mind this happened in this lifetime, so you do have that same quality in this lifetime as well. Maybe it's something that now it's kind of coming up that you gotta rely on that, and it's kind of your subconscious is kind of remembering this memory of the how you were, so that's coming up. But let's have a look at what the tarot cards have to say. So for this one, we have the Five of Pentacles in the reverse position, as well as the Ace of Cups also in the reverse position. Pentacles talks about resources. Now, when we say the Five of Pentacles, a lot of time it talks about a lack in the resource side. Maybe it's financial difficulties, maybe it's bad health. It could be a variety of different things. Now, in this case, it is in the reverse situation, so it talks about loss, sadness, regrets, and remorse. This could be very well be that this is kind of because of the fall of Atlantis. Maybe your soul kind of remembers that, and it was such an idyllic lifestyle that your soul still grieves that particular situation that you were in. Now, for the Ace of Cups, reverse cups normally talks about emotions, and the Ace often talks about beginnings. This one here, because it's in the reverse situation, it talks about selfishness. Your ego is getting in the way of your success. Again, I kind of think maybe it is your soul kind of remembering that most ideal lifestyle that you had, that it is kind of longing for it. So it's kind of having a harder time feeling content in this lifetime, right? Things just don't feel as good as it should because it's not the same as what it was, and you know that there's better out there. So it's creating a sense of dissatisfaction a little bit. But that is an ego-based thing as well, because you got to understand we've got to live different life, well, and go through different experiences in order for our soul to grow. But if we've had a life that was so idealistic, it might make it more difficult to kind of accept something that we would otherwise kind of consider maybe more mediocre. Now, for the next one that we have here, the last past life we'll be looking at, we have phobias. So phobias kind of talks about some of the fears that you have with you, some of the fear that you're harboring or that kind of keeps coming up in this lifetime actually is initially resulted from a past life. It doesn't really fully belong here. Now, we know with Atlantis, it talked about maybe there is a phobia concerning the ocean or the sea. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Only you will know that. Now, I know we're in Alberta, there's not a lot of oceans out here, so maybe you haven't even come across it yet. But, so you have fears that kind of creep up into your day-to-day life. That is not something that kind of really belongs here. But let's have a see of what else it comes up with. The life lesson we have here is self-esteem. So I tend to think that the fear is more based on self-esteem, self-worth, and that sort of stuff, and they probably have kind of a tendencies of putting yourself down or not kind of reaching up, not being as confident as you should be. And that is kind of saying here that this isn't just in this lifetime. It comes back from experiences you've felt in previous lifetime. And it's affecting you today more than it should because of that. Sometimes just being aware of where the root of those feelings come from or those fear helps you put an end to it, right? So let's have a look at what the tarot cards have to say about this. So for this one, we have the Ace of Pentacles, again in the reverse situation here. And we have the Five of Swords, also in the reverse situation. So, Ace of Pentacles, when it's in the reverse situation, it talks about delay in expecting income, because Pentacles does talk about resources. It talks about greed, maybe problems with finances, lack of faith in your own talent. Now, because we have the self-esteem here, I think that might be what it's touching base a little bit more on, right? Lack of faith in your own talent. Maybe in this particular past life, you got put down quite a bit, so that your soul couldn't kind of fully grow to the full confident person you're meant to be. Now, with the Five of Sword, Sword talks more about the concept, the ideas, what's the logic, what's happening in our mind, the way we think. So with this one here, it talks about humiliation, carrying a grudge, conflict with a domineering person. Okay, so if you were in this particular past life humiliated many times, if you, caused it to create a grudge, but maybe you were in a situation where you had to serve or answer to somebody who was really strong, demeaning personality that just kind of really crushed you every chance they got. Having that kind of past life would definitely create some it would damper your spirit, obviously. Now, if you're dealing with similar situation in this lifetime, this could be because this is the life lesson you need to learn, this self-esteem one. The only way you can learn self-esteem is to be put into position or situation where you have to grow and bloom in difficult situations, right? So it looks like you have some feelings of self-doubt, self-esteem issues that may, yes, come from some events that happen in this lifetime, but it was amplified because of that past life as well. Could very well be the monk or nun one too, because that was something where you really do a lot of self-sacrifice for devoting yourself to the greater good, to other people, and then to your spiritual belief. So could be that was related as well. So now we'll look at the life lesson that you have for this current lifetime. And for this one, we have doubts. This is I believe, really dealing with doubts that you have about yourself. There's a bit of a theme here. So in this lifetime, you need to learn to trust yourself better, to trust those around you, to have faith that you are on the right path and that you're accomplishing what you should. And then we did have a jumper here as well. So the angels and guides are sending you an extra life lessons for this current lifetime. That's something they feel you should be working on as well, and probably that you are working on right now. And for this one, we have love. So loving yourself and accepting the love from others that you deserve. So it's another kind of big concept and that sort of stuff that you need to work on. It's really important that love needs to start from within. It needs to start from ourselves, because how the love that we have for ourselves will determine the type of love that we attract to us. It is very hard to love somebody who doesn't love themselves, because they attract a lot more negativity. So when you want love and you look for love or you give love, it has to first start from within. And that's kind of what this life lesson is saying. So this was the past life reading for you. And I find it's very important to understand where we came from so that we can better aim and control where we're going. So I hope this reading really resonated with you. Have a blessed day.